What is going on, everybody? In this video, I want to go through 5 reasons why I think that Notre Dame Fighting Irish could win the 2025 National Championship for college football. We have already done this video for Oregon, Texas, and Georgia. But in this video, I want to talk about Notre Dame because I think they aren't being taken seriously. And I think Notre Dame could very well be in the conversation with those other teams that I just talked about to win the Natty. A lot of people don't take this Notre Dame team seriously because of that bad loss to Northern Illinois, and they always manage to lose the big games. But this year, the college football playoff is so wide open, and Notre Dame has been dominant lately. So let's list 5 reasons why Notre Dame can win the national championship. And the first reason is because they have a dominant run game. Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love are a great pair of backs, and they have combined for 1,500 rushing yards. Jeremiah Love is an extremely underrated running back. He has 15 rushing touchdowns, and he has been an absolute monster on the ground for that offense, averaging 7 yards a carry, which is near the top of the country. On top of that, he has over 200 receiving yards and 2 TD catches. Overall, as a team, they are averaging 224 rushing yards, which is also near the top of the country. That's top 10. It's not easy to average over 200 rushing yards a game, but Notre Dame is doing exactly that. They are also 5th in the country in rushing touchdowns with 40. They don't just have one of the best group of running backs in the country with Price and Love, but they have Riley Leonard at quarterback, who is basically a third running back. He has over 700 rushing yards and 14 rushing touchdowns. They are a very run-heavy team, and they have been dominating teams with their run game. This is a team that might be good enough to grind out a win against an elite football team just by running the ball. And it really helps when you have one of the best 1-2 punches in the country at running back with Price and Love. And the second reason I think this team could win the 2025 national championship is because they have a quarterback in Riley Leonard who has really stepped up into a big leadership role. And as I was previously just talking about, Riley Leonard has ran for over 700 yards and 14 touchdowns. And he has been one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the nation, and people aren't talking about him enough. I actually have Riley Leonard in my Heisman top 10 right now. Because ever since that Northern Illinois loss, Riley Leonard has really stepped up his game. He has been responsible for this team scoring 30 plus points in just about every game this year. He's been really consistent with 2,000 passing yards and 16 touchdowns to only 5 interceptions. And we have to remember 2 of those interceptions were in the Northern Illinois loss. So he has really hardly turned the ball over this year. And Riley Leonard has really helped elevate that Notre Dame offense. Look, I get it, they might need more out of the passing game to win the Natty, and they do not have a receiver with over 500 receiving yards. But Riley Leonard has thrown 7 touchdowns in his last 3 games, and he's only had 1 game on the season where he did not have a completion percentage above 60. Riley Leonard will have to play a huge role for this team to win a national championship, but he is an excellent leader, and he's been playing really good football lately, and he's always finding ways to get better, and that is very important. He's a great dual threat quarterback, and he's also like a third running back for this team, which has helped this offense score a lot more points in 2024. And the third reason I think Notre Dame can win the national championship is because they are very good at the line of scrimmage, a lot better than I expected them to be. Notre Dame's offensive line, more specifically, they've been surprisingly really good in 2024. They are very young, but they have really stepped up into their roles pretty well, and they've helped produce one of the top rushing offenses in the nation. Even with a true freshman starting on that offensive line, they continue to get the job done. They are also very good on the defensive line, and they've been really good at getting to the quarterback with 30 sacks. They forced 17 interceptions and 13 fumbles on defense. They have been an elite team, one of the best in the country when it comes to forcing turnovers. And they are also top 3 in points per game allowed on defense. They are very good in red zone defense, and they've only allowed 20 touchdowns all year, and the defensive line has been very disruptive. They have been dominant at the line of scrimmage, and I think it could help lead them to a national championship if they can stay consistent there. The fourth reason I think this team could win the national championship is because they have elite leaders on both sides of the ball. Don't get me wrong, this is a very young team, one of the youngest teams in the country when it comes to starters. They have a ton of sophomores and even freshmen starting on offense and defense. But they have leaders like Mitchell Evans on offense and Xavier Watts on defense. They are both very experienced players and great leaders for this team as seniors. 5 of the 17 interceptions that this Notre Dame team has is by Xavier Watts, who might just be the best safety in college football. He's also had 8 pass breakups, and he is an elite playmaker on defense. He's really the heart and soul on that defense, and he has had to step up and play a massive role after losing a guy like Benjamin Morrison. Benjamin Morrison was also a great leader for this team and one of the best cornerbacks in the nation. They did lose Benjamin Morrison for the season, and their secondary did look a little bit weak against USC. But really, outside of the USC game, their secondary has really held up, and they've been really good, definitely with a guy like Xavier Watts in the back end. They have produced one of the top defenses in the nation, and offensively, Mitchell Evans is a big leader on that offense, and he is one of the best tight ends in the nation when fully healthy. He has had his issues with staying fully healthy. He's a guy that hasn't been fully utilized lately, but he could definitely be a problem for defenses in the college football playoffs. He's had 272 receiving yards with 3 touchdown catches, and look for him to be utilized more in the playoffs because he is a very good player. He did step up a little bit against USC. He had some big plays and he had 5 catches. And more importantly, he had a touchdown catch in that game. And he's definitely an X factor for that offense when used correctly. They aren't great at the wide receiver position, but they have multiple guys who could step up. They have 7 wide receivers with a touchdown catch and 6 wide receivers with 150 yards or more. A lot of these guys are transfers, but for Notre Dame to win a national championship, they might need one of those receivers to step up. And a guy to watch out for is Bo Collins, the Clemson transfer. This is a very young team, but they strive to get better every week. And they have shown massive growth throughout the last couple of years. And they have great leaders on both sides of the ball, and that also includes Riley Leonard as well. And the fifth and the final reason I think this team could win the 2025 national championship is because they might actually be ready for the big stage finally. Everybody remembers that NIU loss, and it's honestly hard to forget. I don't know how anybody could forget that. But Notre Dame has done nothing but win games and have the largest margin of victory in the country since then. And I think it says a lot about this team. They may be young, but they have completely bounced back from that embarrassing loss. And right now, I'd say they are playing like one of the top 5, top 3 teams in the country right now. And it's because they continue to get better every week, and they have been very dominant lately. Last year, they were so close to beating Ohio State, and that definitely could have been their breakout game. And that game could have been a big step in the right direction for them. They ended up losing that game and going on to lose other games, but Marcus Freeman continues to keep this team trending in the right direction. They could easily be 12-0 this year and be taken a lot more serious if it wasn't for that fluke loss against Northern Illinois. But if they were to win a playoff game or 2, that would be a massive step in the right direction, and it is definitely possible. Because the playoff field is absolutely wide open. Everybody likes to bring up the past and all the big games Notre Dame has lost, but we are heading into a new era of college football, and this Notre Dame team has done nothing but been dominant this year. Every team has showed concerns this year, maybe outside of the Oregon Ducks, but Notre Dame continues to look dominant every week despite the weak schedule. And if you look at teams like Texas, they haven't played anybody as well. Ohio State lost to Michigan. Penn State is Penn State. Georgia might not even have Carson Beck. And there's also some teams in this thing like SMU, Clemson, and Arizona State. Those are teams that nobody is expecting to make a run. But what I'm saying is, who's to say Notre Dame can't win the right side of the bracket and go all the way to the national championship game? They'd have to get through teams like Georgia and Penn State. Most people will probably be rolling with Georgia to win the right side of the bracket. But like I said, Georgia might not even have their quarterback in Carson Beck, and they have showed some big concerns this year. Notre Dame has looked really good on both offense and defense lately. The only area of weakness that really concerns me is at the wide receiver position. But Georgia necessarily hasn't looked good there either, and neither has Penn State. Now, like I said, all these other teams have had their concerns, and Notre Dame is definitely a team to keep an eye on. I think they are being slept on. I will give my pick to win the national championship very soon, but Notre Dame is one of my favorites to win the national championship. But anyways, you guys let me know what you think about Notre Dame winning the national championship. Do you guys think it can happen or not? And tell me why down in the comments below. But let me remind you guys to like the video and also subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And if you guys love college football, then you'll love this channel, because we upload a ton of college football content and we basically cover everything on this channel. So definitely consider subscribing. And also consider checking out my socials down in the description below. But that is going to do it, guys, and peace out.